Tears streamed down Ashley's face, hot and salty, but she didn't dare raise a hand to wipe them away. The man's finger, just inches from her nose, trembled with rage. His face, red and swollen, was a mask of contempt. "You're useless," he shouted, his voice echoing through the crowded restaurant. All eyes turned to them. Tables with families, couples on romantic dates, businessmen closing deals. Everyone stopped. The silence was heavy, broken only by the sound of Ashley's humiliation. She could feel the stares like needles on her skin. Her white waitress shirt, the black vest, it all felt like a ridiculous costume at that moment. She wasn't a waitress. She was a target. The man continued his verbal assault, each word a blow. He pointed to the plate of food on the table, almost untouched, as if it were evidence of a terrible crime. But the crime wasn't the food. The crime in his eyes was her. It was her existence in that place. What he didn't know, what no one in that restaurant could imagine, was that behind those tears wasn't just pain, but a storm brewing. A storm that was about to break and drag with it the dirtiest secrets of the man who now publicly humiliated her. He thought he was firing a simple waitress. Little did he know he was unleashing his worst nightmare. Now, before we dive into this story, I ask that you click the subscribe button on the channel. That way, you won't miss any of the emotional stories we bring here. Ashley had been working at that restaurant, the Gilded Spoon, for almost a year. The name sounded fancy, and the place, located in an affluent area of Scottsdale, Arizona, truly was. The tablecloths were white linen, the silverware felt heavy in the hand, and the wine list had bottles that cost more than her 3 months' rent. For her, that job was more than a paycheck. It was a window into a world she had never known. A world of luxury cars parked at the entrance, of women with designer handbags and men with watches that sparkled under the soft light of the crystal chandeliers. She served these people every day, with a professional smile, even when her stomach rumbled or when her feet ached so much she wanted to cry. She learned to differentiate a Chateau Margaux from a Romanée Conti just by the way customers pronounced the names. She knew who liked their steak rare and who preferred their salad without dressing. She was good at what she did, efficient and discreet. But to the restaurant owner, Mr. Harrison, she was just a disposable piece. He looked at her with a veiled contempt, as if her mere presence, with her simple clothes and her old car parked at the back of the lot, stained the image of perfection he worked so hard to maintain. That night, the mistake was minimal. A customer ordered a specific wine, a rare 1998 vintage. Ashley, in a lapse, brought the 1999. An honest mistake, easily correctable. But for Mr. Harrison, it was the perfect excuse. He dragged her across the dining room, stopped in front of the customer's table, and began the humiliating spectacle that everyone watched. "This incompetent doesn't know the difference," he bellowed. "This is what happens when we hire this kind of people." The word poor was not spoken, but it hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Ashley felt the weight of that unspoken word crush her. She looked at the floor, at the worn-out shoes she patched with duct tape on the inside, and felt the shame burn her. She said nothing. She just turned, went to the locker room, grabbed her worn-out purse, and walked out the back door without looking back. The humiliation was a bitter taste in her mouth, but as she walked through the cold desert night, something else began to grow inside her. A cold, sharp determination. Mr. Harrison thought he had crushed her. He had no idea what she knew. He didn't know about the nights she stayed late, helping to close out the register, and overheard his conversations in his office. He didn't know about the papers she saw by chance on the printer, the names and numbers that made no sense at the time, but which now, in her mind, were beginning to connect like pieces of a dark puzzle. He fired her for being poor. Now she would use his most valuable secret to show everyone who he really was. As she drove her old car, the engine sputtering at every corner, Ashley was no longer crying. The pain of humiliation had turned into a bonfire of righteous anger. She thought of her mother, who had worked her whole life as a cleaner, always with her head held high, teaching her that dignity didn't come from the money in your bank account, but from your character. Mr. Harrison, with all his money and his luxury restaurant, didn't have an ounce of the dignity her mother possessed. He judged her by her appearance, by her financial status, without ever seeing the person behind the uniform. He discarded her like trash. A grave mistake. Ashley remembered a night, about 2 months ago. She was in the small back office, organizing the day's receipts, an extra task she did to earn a little more. Mr. Harrison was in his office, the door ajar, speaking on the phone in a low, urgent voice. She didn't mean to eavesdrop, but the words floated to her. The money has been washed, clean as a new bill. No one will trace it back to the casino. The shipment arrives on Tuesday. Use the back cold room, the usual one. Nobody ever looks there. At the time, the words sounded strange, but she dismissed them as business talk she didn't understand. Now, they came back with terrifying clarity. The back cold room was an old, rarely used storage area where they kept seasonal decorations and old equipment. No employee was allowed in there. Mr. Harrison himself kept the only key. Suddenly, it all made sense. The mysterious late-night deliveries, Mr. Harrison's nervousness whenever someone got close to that area, the shady-looking investors who met with him at odd hours. The Gilded Spoon wasn't just a restaurant, it was a front, a money-laundering machine for much dirtier businesses. The man who had humiliated her over a 1-year mistake on a bottle of wine was using his luxury restaurant to hide crimes. The irony was almost comical. He, the man of the perfect image, of status and wealth, was the dirtiest of them all. Ashley felt a chill. This was dangerous. Much bigger than simple revenge for an unjust dismissal. But what could she do? Go to the police without proof? They would laugh at her. The poor, resentful waitress accusing the rich, respected businessman. She needed something concrete, proof that could not be ignored, and she knew exactly where to find it. She had to go back to the restaurant. If you've ever been in a situation where you were judged unfairly, leave a like on this video to show that we are not alone. Ashley spent the next 2 days planning. She couldn't just walk in through the front door. She knew the restaurant like the back of her hand, the delivery schedules, the cleaning crew's routine, the back bathroom window that never closed properly. The perfect opportunity would be in the early hours of Tuesday morning, the day she heard on the call, the day of the shipment. She dressed in dark clothes, her heart pounding against her ribs. The adrenaline was a mix of fear and determination. Slipping through the bathroom window was easier than she had imagined. The restaurant was dark and silent, a ghost of the bustling place she knew. Moving in the shadows, she reached the door of the cold room. Locked, as expected. But Ashley was observant. She had seen Mr. Harrison countless times retrieve the key from a secret place, a loose brick in the wall behind a fire extinguisher. Her hands trembled so much she could barely fit the key in the lock. The door opened with a low creak. The air inside was frigid and smelled of dust and something else. Something chemical. Using her phone's flashlight, she saw stacked wooden crates. They weren't Christmas decorations. With immense effort, she pried one open. Her eyes widened. Inside, carefully packed, were not expensive wines or luxury ingredients, but bundles and bundles of cash, hundreds of thousands of dollars. In another box, she found what looked like stolen jewelry, Rolex watches, and diamond necklaces still with price tags from jewelers in other states. This was the proof. She took pictures of everything, her phone's flash illuminating the illicit wealth in quick, silent bursts. She photographed the bundles of cash, the jewelry, the serial numbers on the crates. Just as she was about to leave, she heard a noise. Footsteps. Someone was coming. In a panic, she hid behind a stack of boxes, turning off her flashlight and holding her breath. The door opened, and Mr. Harrison's silhouette appeared, along with 2 other men. "It's all here," Harrison said. "Clean and ready for distribution. The nosy waitress won't be a problem anymore." Ashley felt her blood run cold. He didn't just fire her for being poor, He fired her because he suspected she might have seen or heard something. The public humiliation was a warning, an act to discredit her if she ever decided to talk. She recorded the conversation with her phone, her heart in her throat. They didn't stay long. After they left, she waited for what felt like an eternity before emerging from her hiding spot and making her way out of the restaurant. As the sun rose, she didn't go home. She went straight to the police station. The story you've just heard shows us that true wealth is not in what we possess, but in our character and courage. Ashley was humiliated, but she used her intelligence and bravery to expose the truth. What would you have done in her place? Would you have had the same courage to seek justice, even at great risk? Leave your opinion in the comments, as your perspective is very important to our community. If Ashley's story touched you in some way, if you believe in the power of truth and justice, I ask you to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. By doing so, you join us and won't miss any stories like this, which make us reflect on what truly matters in life. Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that dignity has no price. What part of the story impacted you the most? Have you ever witnessed an injustice and felt the urge to do something about it? Tell us in the comments. If you've made it this far, I'm sure you'll love the story I've set aside especially for you. It's appearing on your screen right now. Just click on this video and I'll see you there. Take care and see you next time.